Alright, hey, hi, hello, how's it going guys? My name is ZetaRayZod and welcome back to more of the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Now, before I begin, be sure to like, subscribe, and get that bell icon to stay up to date on all my latest videos. So, last we left off, we kind of started off the Great Ace Attorney 2 Resolve. We just started off, and we are not playing as Naruhodo at the moment, because he's still in Great Britain. We're playing as Susato-san, but she's pretending to be a guy because back in the day, women aren't allowed to be in court. So that's why she's pretending to be a guy. So what's going on is like her best friend is accused of murdering some British woman. If you remember, this British woman is actually from the very first episode. Her name's Giselle Brett, and she was the one who committed the murder on John H. Wilson. So yeah, she died. So it's because like Susato's best friend used to work with Wilson. That's why they're like, oh, it's motive, you know, that kind of shit. So yeah, Aochi has brought forward some witnesses which are familiar. We've seen them before in the first game. So yeah, let's go. I can't remember the voices I gave them though. Chief Inspector Satoru Hosonaga, Imperial Police Bureau. I'm in disguise, obviously, so I can go undetected. Right. And I am, well, the next big thing in books. An author renowned throughout the capital, in fact. Yes. Soon to be sold out. The satirical I Am a Cat. A sensational success by Soseki Natsume. Lol. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, excuse me. That cease just came out of nowhere. Struggling student from the province, please, you needn't be in awe of me. I needn't? It's only natural that you feel nervous in my presence, but all of you, please relax. Call me Soseki even. His demeanor is so different. Yes. What on earth is Soseki-san doing here? Tread carefully, Susato. That author fellow knows you from your time in London, doesn't he? If he exposes you for who you really are, this will be over before it's begun. Yes, of course, I know. I presume Soseki-san wouldn't have forgotten about me. I could certainly never forget him. Although, he does seem to have changed somewhat in the 6 months or so that's been since I last saw him. And as for Inspector Hosonaga, that amazing outfit is hard to believe. Do I have something on my face? Well, your glasses for one, although they don't seem to be helping you see. Thank goodness he hasn't recognized me either. Oh, I suppose it's this disguise, is it? I thought that appearing here in the clothes I was wearing at the time would make for a more faithful testimony. It is my guiding principle to carry out all testimonies flawlessly. Well, I can appreciate why an Imperial Police Bureau detective might have been present. But what business did a writer such as yourself have being at the scene, Soseki-san? Well, you see, I've been asked that day to give a lecture. On the morning of the incident, in the Imperial Yume University's Grand Lecture Hall, no less. At Yume University? After the lecture, I had a very pleasant conversation with a researcher from the medical science department. The professor over there, in fact. With Professor Mikotoba? Yes, that's right. It was arranged by one of the newspapers. They wanted some story or other about 2 former students who studied in Great Britain. Of course, being a renowned author, the press never leave me alone. They secretly spy, snapshots, scribble stories, and scupper my privacy. As you can see, the conversation is written up in this newspaper here. Read it at your leisure, my provincial struggling student friend. I have plenty of copies. He just takes out like 20. Thank you very much. Practically threw that paper at me. Soseki Natsume article has been entered into the court record. Anyway, following my interview with the professor, hold on a minute. Let's look at this. Hey, isn't that Wagahai? Why is this significant? This has to be significant somehow. I don't see anything out of the ordinary except the cat. And this, but that could just be a crease. Okay. The lady in question appeared and made a very unexpected announcement. I should like to go see with everyone to see a country's coast. Those were her words. As I explained before, Miss Brett was never taken into custody. She continued to work in my laboratory, under strict surveillance, of course.
At which utterance the university immediately contacted the government to seek guidance. And the response was, permit Miss Brett to go as long as the detective accompanies her.
That detective I am at liberty to divulge was me, Chief Inspector Satoru Hosonaga.
Thereby, the entire party departed cordially for the seaside, it seems.
It was extremely challenging to clear all other members of the public from the vicinity of the beach. Still coughing, huh? But fortunately, he's bleeding again. I'm at peak physical fitness at the moment, so I was able to carry out my duty flawlessly. Oh my, Inspector, you... Well, you do have something on your face now. Ah, how unsightly. I do apologize. Does that mean that you went to the beach too, Father? No. Fortunately, I had work to finish off. But unfortunately, of course, it meant that as my assistant, Ray was invited to take my place. Of course, being a renowned author, I didn't like to decline the invitation. Ah, but if only I had, I'd never have seen that awful sight. Relentlessly racked by remorse and regret. What are you writing, bro? He's just moving. Very well, I must now ask you to present your formal testimony to the court. You will give an account of all that you witnessed on your impromptu excursion to the coast. Jesus. Of course, Your Excellency. Relentlessly racked by remorse and regret. I am. He's twitching a bit. Here we go. I just gotta press. I remember. On the day of the incident, I was ordered on a special surveillance assignment in this disguise. I just managed to catch that crab when I suddenly heard a caterwaul from behind me. I ran into the beach hut at once, where I found the pair in question. Yes! That young girl was astride the Englishwoman, dagger in hand, as she stabbed wildly. I saw blood on the blade. It proved to me that she stabbed the victim multiple times. That's also not true. She stabbed him once, right? Single deep stab wound. Hole after hole. Alright. Indeed, it does appear from this testimony that both witnesses here present saw it. The very moment of this heinous crime. What?
Now, if you all recall, I promised evidence as well. What phrase did I use again? Ah, yes, that was it. Damning evidence.
What have you there, Counsel? A so-called fountain pen, is it? Correct, Your Excellency. I found it at the scene whilst examining the body. It appears that in her dying moments with her final ounce of strength, the victim clutched a piece of evidence that would positively identify her killer.
What? Your Excellency, if you would cast your eyes over the photographic print of the crime scene once more.
Ah, good to speak. Yes, the victim's clearly grasping something quite deliberately there in her hand. That's right, the fountain pen. And if you would kindly examine the pen, Your Excellency. Huh. The owner's initials have been engraved at the ebonite barrel. RM. Great Bambami. The initials of the defendant. Ah. No! She's doing a Naruhodo. RM. This fountain pen would be admitted immediately as critical evidence. Hold on. Is there anybody else with an RM in a court record? Or MR? MR? Yep. Well, shit. Okay.
So, have I admitted anything?
I'm gonna look at the evidence just real quick. Oh, I can't examine it right now. Alright.
Decisive testimony and damning evidence. There's a bright blue sky outside the courthouse today. Perfect weather to ascribe guilt, I feel. I don't understand. The prosecutor outed you 9 months ago. There's none of this man's poise.
Counsel for the defense, you may begin your cross-examination now. Naruhodo-san?
Naruhodo.
That means... Oh, yes. Is there another Naruhodo in my courtroom?
Actually, there isn't even a single Naruto in your courtroom.
Cousin Rutaro, pull yourself together, please.
Alright, I've seen this countless times as a judicial assistant. Find inconsistencies in a witness's testimony to prove that they're lying somehow. That's all there is to it. That's how a real lawyer would handle a cross-examination. So let's see what I can do.
I already found the hole. Can I just go straight to it? But you gotta press everything, so... the question or the special surveillance assignment? Okay, go on. Let's find out. In that jaunty disguise? Correct. Wait, no. I mean, it wasn't the first time I've worn a swimsuit for a dip in the ocean. It's tried and tested. Do what must be done to keep the Englishwoman under surveillance. Those were my orders that day. And this tried and tested outfit was the answer? Being able to blend flawlessly into a crowd is an important part of a detective's job. I submerged myself in the salty water, leaving only Mr. Turtle floating inconspicuously on the surface. Mr. Turtle loves the water. There was no need for you to blend into the background in this assignment, really, was there? If that made you late arriving on the scene, I think perhaps you had your priorities wrong.
Perhaps I shouldn't pursue this line of questioning any further at the moment.
Managed to catch that crab when I suddenly heard a caterwaul. Which means a scream. Oh, you're describing the victim's scream, presumably, Saseki-san. In more literary terms, you might say it was a scream that could have pierced the heavens. Kia! Or the like. Of course, that's just a metaphor. We renowned authors are wont to describing things so. Saseki-san wasn't at all like this in England. Anyway, I spun around the noise and the beach hut immediately fell under my gaze. Yes, the beach hut. The area is popular with government ministers. Many have seaside retreats there for rest and recuperation. Locals are prohibited from entering the area, so it's always very quiet. The beach hut is a simple structure, erected as a place for people to change or take refuge from the sun. Although, the Englishwoman commandeered the hut for herself, which meant that I was forced to change into my swimwear in the sand. How sad. I imagine that was rather embarrassing for you. Well, anyway, I tossed the crab aside and headed for the beach hut at a run. Or, in more literary terms, I decrabbed and beetled off hut-wise. Decrabbed. Ran into the beach hut at once where I found the pair in question. Wait, by pair you don't mean to say... But how could that be? No, you misunderstand. Obviously, I mean the victim and the defendant, remember me-san. Oh. It would have been helpful if you could have just said that from the outset. If you jump to conclusions, you have to expect to fall flat on your face sometimes.
Dear me, pitting your hopes in such an outside chance. Foolish, very foolish. Really was an outside chance. Just wish I realized that before I said something silly. So, Inspector, why don't you tell the court how exactly you found the aforementioned pair in the hut?
Well, it was a sorry sight. A real grisly scene. I parted the Norin curtain hanging in the doorway and stepped inside only to see the defendant leaning menacingly over the lifeless body of the victim sprawled in the sand. Jesus. My glasses were nearly cracked at the ominous sight that met my eyes.
How thoroughly appalling. Ugh, he doesn't appear to be lying here.
Well, Saseki-san, can you confirm what Inspector Hosonaga is saying, I wonder? You would like a literary man's opinion? Young girl's astride, the dagger in hand as she stabbed wildly. Stabbed wildly? You actually saw her do it? Oh, indeed. Terrible Spectre! Terrapin Inspector! The bloody torrent! The author's torment! Eek! Every sight and every sound is still carved in my melancholy memory. That was my impression, at least, as a future literary sensation.
Counsel, what on earth is that shrill, effeminate scream?
Oh, no, No, what are you insinuating? I'm as manly as a Japanese man as you. I wonder if I might interject here, Saseki-san. Something you said is troubling me. That was my impression, or your words just now, I believe. Switchin. Oh, so do you mean to say you're not confident that you really did see what you've described? No! I mean, yes! I mean, I know what I saw. My ears didn't deceive me when I heard that scream, hence my eyes didn't deceive me either. I could describe everything I saw vividly. I could publish it all in tomorrow's newspaper serial.
It sounds as though the next installment of I Am a Cat may take a macabre turn.
This is a fool's errand. The more you press your author friend on what he saw, the more entrenched he's gonna become. Oh dear, how awkward. Yeah, this is the one I want to talk about. Stabbed wildly. Proved to me that she stabbed the victim multiple times. Press, press, press. She was stabbed multiple times? How can you be sure of that? Very simply. From the blood on the blade. The blood. When I entered the hut, I saw the defendant holding the blade raised up in the air. Yes, that's right. I saw it too. Oh. And I noted that there was blood on the blade already at that point. In other words, the victim had already been stabbed at least once by the time I arrived on scene. Yes, that's right. I saw it too. And the victim was already holding the defendant's fountain pen in her hand too. All of which means I can be sure the victim did not die instantly. Occurred within minutes. Well, she didn't die instantly, sure.
Maybe a year in London was too much for him. Sounds like he's forgotten how to speak Japanese.
The logic of your argument is sound, at least. Well, as I said, it is my guiding principle to carry out all testimonies flawlessly.
Perhaps it should have been your guiding principle to protect the victim flawlessly?
That's just my personal opinion, of course. That's right. Good, he's like dying. Counsel, you will refrain from mocking the witness.
Oh no, I just have so many thoughts whirling around in my head. That's all I can do to stand here, wide-eyed and mute.
Goodness, my dear. You really must try to calm down. But how am I supposed to find an inconsistency in what these two gentlemen are saying? I don't see why either of them would have any reason to lie. What you must remember, I think, is that witnesses may inadvertently lie at times. For various reasons, a misunderstanding, a mistaken observation, a delusion, even... Oh, a delusion. What's important is that we determine the truth, and there's only one sure way to do that. Yeah, with evidence, of course. Spoken like a true judicial assistant. During witness testimony, you can use RB to pick a piece of evidence. I know. I'm just gonna skip this. Listen carefully, compare what's said. Yep. If you find some conflicting information, that may be the inconsistency you're looking for. Alright. It's all about inconsistencies. I know what the inconsistency is. Please, let me go. Yeah. I'm not a child. I wish we could, like, just skip all this. Alright, then. Consider the details of the evidence. Court record again. It's a statement of finding consistency. Okay, I got it. I hope I'm up to the task. Don't forget that you can have the witness repeat their statements as many times as you like. Yeah. Alright. Okay, come on. Besides, there's no one else to defend the poor girl. You're right.
You need to listen to the testimony again from the start.
I'm not gonna do that. I don't care about the start. I care about the ending. This one. Higiari!
With that accusatory cry that just welled up from deep inside me, I think I finally understand. Every time Kazuma-sama and Naruhodo-san have stood up here at this bench, the stakes have been very, very high indeed. What's the meaning of this menacing pose, counsel?
I'd like the witness to clarify something for me. Who? What? Where? When? How?
Not you, Saseki-san. This card is directed at Inspector Hosonaga.
And me? In your statement just now, you said that the victim was stabbed multiple times. Yes, that's right. As I said, when I entered the hut, the defendant was already standing over the victim, bloody knife in hand, like a murderous demon. And yet, that cannot be. What? Get to the point, please, counsel. In the post-mortem report, it clearly states that the victim was stabbed one time only. Ah. In other words, Inspector Hosanaga's testimony is clearly flawed. Ah, and Saseki-san! Me? You claim to have seen the Memba-mi-san in the throes of stabbing the victim. Yes, I did. Wildly. But both you and the inspector confirmed the same point, that there was already blood on the knife that you saw the defendant holding. Yes, and... It's quite simple. We know the murder weapon was used to stab the victim only once. Therefore, there is no way there could have been blood on the knife, if that single stabbing hadn't already occurred. Ah, true! What exactly is your contention, counsel? Are you ever going to tell us? Yes, Your Excellency. There's only one logical conclusion. What Saseki-san in fact saw was not the moment that the defendant stabbed the victim at all, but the moment that the defendant in fact withdrew the blade from the victim's body. That can't be! Excellent work, Susato. You exploded at them with that objection and then proceeded to pull them apart systematically.
Well, this takes me back. Yes, I seem to remember your cousin's stage a scene much like this in a trial 9 months ago. Half-witted child with a half-baked objection, attempting to steal the show.
You're right, there were certain similarities. Except that so-called half-witted child managed to outwit the prosecution, who was only half ahead of him.
Slander! My head is quite adequately dressed. In any case, all this talk of stabbing and drawing in multiple wounds, it makes not a jot of difference.
What? Why not?
Engage your brain, young man. When the accused first plunged a deadly weapon at the victim, that was a fatal blow. And it was that moment, just as she had withdrawn the blade ready for the next strike, that the witnesses saw. The knife was already tainted with blood because the accused had already stabbed the victim. All you have successfully shown in your little display is that the mustached otter is prone to moments of extravagance.
Damn. He has a point. That's a good point. I'm gonna give him that. I'm in agreement with the prosecution. If the defendant was seen wielding the blade at all, that is sufficient grounds for her actions to be viewed with suspicion. But if she was withdrawing the blade,
then we're back where we started.
Sorry?
Consider this, young yokel boy. If the student girl is innocent as you claim, then why would she have pulled the blade from the victim, and with a demon's cold-blooded composure too? The prosecution demands an explanation, and it had better be good.
Why did Ray pull out the knife? Yes, going for the jugular.
Huh? What does father mean by that?
Let the court hear your answer then, counsel. The truth is, I don't really know.
But I have to come up with a plausible reason here, or we don't have a case.
The reason why the defendant pulled the knife blade out of the victim's body was purely so she could stab her again. Save her life, I guess. According to the post-mortem report, the victim's death is not instant. That's correct. It's thought she would have remained conscious for a short while after sustaining the injury.
Indeed, giving her the time to take off this piece of evidence clearly indicates her killer.
By the way, just as a point to bring across, if someone ever gets stabbed by a knife, or maybe like a sharp piece of object, you're not supposed to pull it out. Just remember, don't pull it out, because sure, you might be instinctively, you want to pull it out. If you get stabbed yourself or someone else close to you gets stabbed, you might want to pull it out, but don't, because that thing that you got stabbed with could actually be holding things in place, so it could be preventing more bleeding from happening. So if you pull it out, it could, you could start bleeding internally, you could start bleeding, and that's just gonna make things worse. So technically, you're not supposed to pull out any sharp objects if you get stabbed. I mean, if you get like pricked or something, that's fine, but it's more like a big stab wound, You're not supposed to pull it out. You're supposed to hold it in place until like you can get help. So just remember, don't pull it out. Don't pull out a knife. The point is, being a medical research assistant, Memba-mi-san was compelled to act when faced with the wounded victim. Instinctively, she pulled the blade out in an attempt to save this person's life. Don't do that. Remember, don't do that. Because you're just gonna start bleeding out. Think of the knife getting stuck in you as like a cork in a wine bottle, right? It's like stopping things from pouring out. So that's what it's supposed to be.
Did you hear that, Your Excellency? It would seem this is the best we can expect of this young yokel.
Indeed. Is it just me, or does it suddenly feel much colder in here? Your Excellency, if I may. Speak, witness. I would like another opportunity to testify. In respect to the slipshod assertion just put forward by the Yokel Defense Council, I mean. Slipshod?
An excellent idea, Inspector. Our young yokel hopeful has a modicum of knowledge when it comes to law, it seems. But in matters of medicine, he appears to possess not one iota of common sense.
Very well, Inspector. I will permit your request. You will testify again before the court on the subject of the Defense Council's assertion. Yes, sir. I will do so flawlessly. Here we go again. Pulling a blade from a wound without thinking could cause heavy bleeding. Thank you, Osanaga. That's exactly what I was talking about. Very true. Pulling a blade from the wound without thinking causes heavy bleeding. That's basic knowledge that any medical research assistant with an ounce of sense ought to know. True. In other words, there's no good reason why the defendant would have tried to pull a knife from the victim. Let's not forget that the young student did have a motive for killing the victim. The man the victim murdered 9 months ago, Dr. Wilson, was the defendant's highly respected mentor. That's legit testimony. I don't know how to argue that. Is what you just said true, Inspector? Could pulling a knife from the wound really cause the wound to bleed heavily? Yes, it would. Yes. Think of the weapon itself as a stopper in the wound. Thank you! I should've... This is exactly what I've been saying. I told the doctor was ready to provide proper treatment. That stopper shouldn't be removed. Exactly my point. Don't remove it. Oh, I see.
Ha! This is why yokels should stay on the farm. Even a quack from some obscure mountain village would have such basic knowledge. Anyone who's ever given someone a little poke of a knife and pull it out again knows it.
Okay. How would you know that, bro? Oh. Well, I've never stabbed anyone, you see. Or pulled a blade out of a wound, so... Of course you haven't. I didn't bring you up to behave like a bandit. Father, is it true what they're telling me? Yeah, it's basic remedial knowledge for medics. Ray would have been well aware of it. If she were to claim ignorance of such fundamentals, that would prove fatal in many ways. But then why would Ray have done it? Could she have pulled out that knife in full knowledge that it would be fatal for Miss Brett? Ooh, I don't know. She guilty.
Ray never once mentioned anything about the knife to me. It seems almost impossible to believe, but... Could my friend actually have...
Susato.
Yes?
Pull yourself together. We mustn't lose sight of why we're here.
Ah.
Counsel, it's time for your cross-examination.
Oh, yes, Your Excellency.
However, I must warn you that if your cross-examination fails to identify any issue of the established facts, I will be moving to my adjudication immediately afterwards.
Oh, I understand. Believing in your clients and fighting for their cause until the bitter end. I knew it would be hard, but I had no idea it would be this hard. It's difficult.
El difícil. Pulling a blade. Yeah. That could cause heavy bleeding. There isn't really heavy bleeding here, though. I thought there would have been a pool of blood. I don't know. Let's press everything. You say doing it without thinking could be a problem. Does that mean that if you use due care and attention, you'll be alright? I wouldn't have thought this needed spelling out, really. But the blade is like a stopper in the wound. Remove it, and a serious hemorrhage will occur. In other words, a medic would need to be present before any attempt was made to withdraw the blade. Doing it without thinking would be madness. You just can't do it.
Oh, well, thank you for such a thorough explanation. You see, Counsel, when you act without thinking, the result is a bloodbath.
Ugh. Back to the witness testimony, please. It's basic knowledge that any medical... Yep. I don't know. In that case, there's an obvious explanation here. Which is... Clearly, the defendant, remember me, son, does not possess an ounce of sense. Oh my god. What do you think about that, Professor Mikotoba? I'm not sure that you should be labeling your best friend as lacking in common sense. Oh, well, I thought it'd be better than labeling her as a murderer.
I don't know, young people today. If that's friendship, I don't understand it.
Careful, counsel. Lack of common sense can be a very dangerous thing. What the hell? Is that a threat? I was like... What the heck?
Oh dear. That recoiled me rather badly.
It's life, I'm afraid. A lesson everyone must learn. Hopefully you can see now that this is really basic medical knowledge. Being involved in medical research, Memami-san would certainly have been aware of it. Medical research. If she's in medical research, why would she know about medicine? The defendant suddenly encountered somebody she knew lying on the ground bleeding to death. The sight could have shocked her delicate sensibilities, causing her to remove the blade inadvertently. I really don't think inadvertent actions can explain this. The woman is a medical research assistant. I can't imagine she would behave so rationally. Oh. But rational behavior is a woman's prerogative, isn't it? What the frick is going on? Oh dear. I have a lot to learn about women. Oh my god, Susato! Everything's falling apart. Only small-minded men have such bigoted views. Yeah, what the heck? Oh dear. Perhaps I'm letting my male persona take hold a little too much. Everything she's saying is so messed up. Like, she's messing up this cross-examination badly. Well, have I managed to convey the basics now? I should cover the medical side of the argument. Let's forget, Yakuza didn't have a motive for killing the victim. Whatever the motive, it just isn't in Memami-san's nature to do something so awful. But she had both motive and opportunity. It's very hard to argue against. But you don't know that if— oh god.
And you, counsel, do not appear to know the law.
Yes, evidence is the only way to convince the court of your argument, not feelings.
With this fledgling the defender, I would almost say I pity the accused.
So do I. Inspector, you will reiterate your point about the defense motive, please. Ah, yes. Miss Brett was in many ways a sworn enemy of Memami-san. Man, yup. Well, yes, it's true. Dr. Wilson recognized Memami-san's talent and offered her the position of assistant despite her being a woman. She's extremely grateful to him. Yes, the Englishman appears to have been a very broad-minded individual. Dr. Wilson had no time for outdated traditions. He met with opposition, of course, but he believed firmly in Memami-san's abilities. Clearly, the defendant was in the man's debt, which only serves to prove my point. Yep, nothing.
This is hopeless. I can't find a single crack in his testimony anywhere. If Ray knew that withdrawing the knife from the wound would threaten Miss Brett's life further, I just can't think of any way to explain why she did it.
Susato, it's at times like these when it's especially important to remember the fundamentals. The fundamentals? Evidence is what counts in a courtroom, isn't it?
Of course, but I've been through the court record dozens of times already.
I think perhaps you're forgetting something though. You need to take the evidence at face value. You can and must examine it in greater detail too. Ah, I realize this is your first time playing the role of lawyer in the courtroom, so if you need reminding of the rudiments, you need only ask. I'll do my very best to help. Examine the evidence in the court record. It's an excellent idea. What should I do? I know what to do. Come to think of it,
Kazuma-sama and Naruhodo-san were always turning evidence over and over in their hands. Yes, I need to examine things in greater details with A.
Yes, I got it. By the looks in your eyes, I see it's coming back to you. Yeah, well, I couldn't examine the pen, now you're giving me the chance. Jeez.
If we take off the pen's lid...
Hold up, let's look at this.
There's some sort of emblem here. Look. But it isn't a Yume University one.
This belongs to some other organization, I suppose. Business of some kind? It don't seem to imply that the pen doesn't in fact belong to Ray. Aha. Look at this. The RM initials are very clearly engraved here. And the fact that Miss Brett was clinging to this pen in her dying moments is very clearly a message too. To identify her killer, you mean? I don't think there can be any doubt that this is a key piece of evidence in this case.
Now let's unscrew the barrel, shall we?
the hell is that? This must be the little, oh, reservoir that holds the ink. Yes, you fill it by drawing ink from the bottle up through the nib.
Something wrong, Father?
Just that there doesn't actually appear to be any ink in there. That's all.
But yeah, right. It's pretty much empty. Well, I could be on the verge of running out, I suppose.
There's no ink at all. What you talking about? I've looked at everything. Okay. How about the newspaper?
This is the newspaper of Susato-san. This is an important article on the back page as well. Exclusive! Deadly poison stolen from Yume Medical Research Laboratory. From Yume's Medical Research. Father, isn't that your lab?
What the? Let me see that. The poison's been stolen?
This is Marty's paper that Susato-san gave us. Are you saying you didn't know?
As embarrassing as that is for the head of the laboratory, I didn't. I've not heard of any such thing. Where on earth did the reporter glean this information?
Come to think of it, there was no article mentioning this story in our paper this morning, was there?
It's a highly toxic poison I've been working on in strictest confidence. I put Ray in charge of the project.
Ray, she was managing it?
If what's written here is true, it means that she tried to hide the theft from me. And moreover, the details were leaked somehow.
I don't believe it.
You need to read this article very carefully. Article about the poison. Can we read it? What this?
Raucous England returnees tells all. This interview reviews Seki-san, is it, Father? Looks as though it was quite an exchange.
Yes, he became a little over-animated when he was talking about his time in England. The photographer managed to capture the moment his hand karate chopped him in the neck.
I do hope you weren't hurt.
Okay. What else? I think she got poisoned again. That's it. Go through the court record again, have a thorough look at everything. You may just find a clue.
Yes, I'll do it straight away.
I did. I don't know what this is though. Oh no, I don't want to present shit right now. No good reason why the defendant would try to pull the knife from the victim. Basic knowledge. I kind of feel like it'd be this, and it'd be the picture. Maybe? Because I don't see a lot of heavy bleeding. That's wine, but there's no blood pool. So if the knife got pulled out, there would have been heavy bleeding. But I don't know if that's a good point to bring across though. It could just be like, this is how the developers made it, you know? If she pulled out the knife, she would have been heavy bleeding, there would have been a pool of blood. But, is that relevant though? How is that relevant? Could be maybe the poison slows down blood flow, maybe? I don't know. But you know what? I think I'm gonna leave this episode here. This is a problem for another day. So yeah, I think in the next episode I'm gonna press that statement with this crime scene photograph and see what happens. Other than that, I don't know what else there is. Because this testimony seems to be pretty solid, and the pen, even though we found some more stuff about it, he didn't mention anything about the pen, so I'm not sure how I can bring this up in a testimony. So yeah, problem for another day. So if you like what you see and you like what you hear, be sure to like, subscribe, and get the bell on so you stay up to date on all my latest videos. As always, be safe, take care, and I'll see you when I see you. Peace!